People pleaser. Breaking free from the burden of imaginary expectations is Jinger Duggar Vuolo's most recent book, and she has been discussing it extensively. In recent weeks, the 31-year-old has been interviewed and featured on podcasts. Lots of people have said nice things about her memoir thus far. On the other hand, there are Redditors who see a major red flag in Jinger's title. To see the conversation, continue reading. Jinger has been fully immersed in her pregnancy and the release of her book. She is presently expecting her third child with Jeremy, who she worked with on Counting On. The happy couple has already announced that they are expecting a son. In spite of the backlash she received for her biography, Jinger said that her family loves her and even celebrated her gender reveal at the Duggar home for Christmas. Q&As on social media have also been done by the soon-to-be mother of 3. However, when she mentioned wanting to go back to reality TV and share more of her life with her viewers, many were taken aback. Redditors debated an excerpt from People Pleaser, Jinger Duggar Vuolo's autobiography. The poster claims that the former Counting On star discussed how Jeremy piqued her attention, going on to say that he was often the one speaking from behind the microphone about his beliefs. The poster interprets this as evidence that Jinger, like Jeremy, needs attention and finds it when she's with him. Many others felt the same way, calling it a major warning sign. Evangelicals, I believe, sharing their faith with others is central to their faith. They would be engaging in the same activities on a smaller, more local level if they did not have this kind of platform. Well pointed out, Jinger and Jeremy have to rely on her family's foolish show and the passing fad of deconstruction of faith to make ends meet. Even now, Jeremy fantasizes about his days as a famous soccer player. Jinger is more than happy to accompany him to soccer games in Los Angeles. She thinks he is more loyal now that he has openly declared his beliefs. This is significant for her since she is a devout evangelical. Although I would not be interested in it, it is not my marital contract. In a prior conversation, Jinger discussed excerpts from her most recent book. But the former Counting On star startled everyone when she exposed a terrible doctrine from her old church, the IBLP. They were afraid their spouses would abandon them if they didn't do what they wanted, said Jinger. A lot of it started when I was in the teachings of Bill Gothard because there was so much that was drilled into you through what he said about trying to please your husband, and if you don't, he's going to leave you. Jinger Duggar Vuolo said, adding that women face punishment for even minor infractions like leaving the house unclean or failing to prepare dinner for their husbands. Fans have been captivated by Jinger Duggar Vuolo more than any other member of the Duggar family. The former 19 Kids and Counting On star has always been regarded as one of the family's most approachable and self-reliant members. Just as before, Jinger's latest book, Becoming Free Indeed, has been a huge success. Many of her admirers have lauded her openness and honesty, but others have seen warning signs that may indicate she is dealing with more serious issues behind the scenes. Exploring Jinger's spiritual journey, Becoming Free Indeed explains how she freed herself from her rigorous upbringing. The Duggar family's lifestyle was greatly impacted by the teachings of the Institute in Basic Life Principles, IBLP, which was created by Bill Gothard. Jinger's book details her journey away from these beliefs after growing up in a very conservative Christian environment. Jinger candidly describes in her book how her childhood was plagued by anxiety and terror due to the strict regulations that were enforced upon her, and how she overcame these fears by developing a deeper connection with her religion. For being so brave to share her tale, Jinger has received a lot of praise from her admirers. When one's family is as well known and influential as the Duggars, it might be particularly challenging to separate oneself from their religious beliefs. A great deal of introspection, research, and emotional turmoil were required of Jinger during the process. One of her distinguishing features, her dedication to honesty, is on full display throughout the book. Some admirers and reviewers have voiced reservations regarding Jinger's story, even though her book has been universally well received. Skeptics point to the fact that her background is still influencing her, despite her efforts to put some space between herself and it, as one of the main warning signs. Although Jinger has said categorically that she does not follow Gothard's teachings anymore, there are those who believe that her journey, and the way she presents it, reflects the simplistic thinking that defined her previous views. In her lengthy account of her time of spiritual crisis, Jinger describes how she relied heavily on her husband, Jeremy Vuolo. Although it's expected that couples would support one another, several readers are concerned that this interaction reflects her patriarchal upbringing. Jeremy, a pastor and former professional soccer player, was instrumental in exposing Jinger to new theological ideas that made her question her IBLP background. Even though Jinger says it's freeing, others have wondered whether her religion is really hers or just another phase of submissiveness to masculine authority. Another possible warning sign is that Jinger could feel pressure to make her tale appealing to her audience. People always look at her since she is a public person. Many are curious as to whether she is trying to appease her family or the devoted Duggar fans by withholding information or tempering her criticisms. For example, Jinger is forthright in her rejection of Duggars' teachings, yet she refrains from openly criticizing her parents and siblings who continue to follow them. Because of her tact, some have wondered whether Jinger is really free indeed, or if she is still trying to find her place in her family's expectations while being true to herself. The Duggar family dynamic is illuminated by Jinger's narrative, which mirrors not only her own path, but also their dynamics. Her criticisms of Gothard's teachings cast doubt on the parenting decisions her parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, made, albeit she refrains from naming people or going into particular controversies. Many have wondered how her openness with her loved ones would influence her connections with them. Despite their contentious past, the Duggar family has always stood together. A number of the older Duggar children have begun to distance themselves from their parents' views, which has made the fissures in the family more apparent in recent years. We don't know how Jinger's family is reacting behind closed doors to the most direct threat thus far, her book. The possibility that Jinger's younger siblings may see her as a role model has been brought up by some admirers. Perhaps others will be motivated to question and develop by her openness to do so. However, if her book is seen as a breach of their common principles, it might bring the family closer together. Becoming Free Indeed has been the subject of heated debate among both Duggar supporters and detractors since its publication. Many on social media have praised Jinger for her courage and the kind manner in which she has decided to tell her experience. Jinger's story is just remarkable, gushed one enthusiast. Remember, it's always an option to reconsider and alter your views at any point in life, but others have been more circumspect in their compliments. Another reader made the observation, "I'm not sure she's as free as she thinks she is," while expressing happiness for Jinger. It's admirable that she is challenging Gothard's teachings, but I hope she can eventually learn to rely less on Jeremy and more on herself. Some have also voiced concern that Jinger's book may reinforce negative preconceptions toward religion and family. Many are concerned that by describing her escape as a freedom, she may unfairly generalize about the people who choose to stay in the IBLP or similar groups and suggest that they are fundamentally stuck or misled. Even though Jinger's tale is very personal, it is reaching a large audience with all kinds of backgrounds and viewpoints. What comes next is an unanswered issue for Jinger as she begins this next phase of her life. By releasing her book, she has established herself as a speaker, author, and reality TV star in her own right. Her openness to talking about tough things indicates that she is prepared to keep having deep talks about religion, family, and self-improvement. Still, Jinger has a long way to go. Although Becoming Free Indeed is a landmark achievement, she admits that achieving genuine freedom is a never-ending journey. Her growing fan base will be keenly observing her every move as she faces the difficulties that accompany her changing identity.